Rev, we should quickly point out what the senator was just alluding to. Kamala Harris has drawn blood in nationally televised hearings of members of this administration and has been an aggressive questioner given her legal background.
She's been aggressive in terms of her legal background as a prosecutor in questioning people that came before a committee in the Senate. But she's shown herself to be a very good debater. I went to just about all of the Democratic primary debates this year, and as one that was in them myself, I would always talk to her after. She would say, or her sister Maya would say to me, how do you think she did? She will give Vice President Pence a very, very, very bad evening on that debate because she's a great debater. She knows what she's about. I think Joe Biden could have chosen someone else, but he couldn't have chosen anyone better. She is clearly a great campaigner, but she's also good at governing. She ran a judicial system there in California and was a great advocate in the Senate. I've known her for probably 12, 15 years, and I can tell you she's tough, she's thorough, and she's ready. I talked to her just a few days ago. She had no idea where it was going, but she was willing to go wherever it would lead, whether she was a supporter or whether she was the vice presidential nominee. Now that she is the nominee, I don't think that you could have a tougher opponent. I know that the Trump people are preparing all they can to throw at her, but you cannot have a better person to throw it at that it will bounce off her like it didn't mean anything because she's been in tough fights before. So if I was Donald Trump and Mr. Pence, I'd be ready for a real battle now.
Rev, we're seeing some of the pictures from the day I was about to reference. Absent ideology or party or bias or any of that, as a sheer campaign event, as an event that required advance work and stagecraft, her announcement in Oakland was one of the stunners of this cycle. And as someone referenced earlier, campaign didn't work out so well, but that was a truly exciting event on a beautiful day in California.
20,000 people of all races, of all generations. It was intergenerational. It was one of the most memorable events of the 2020 primary season. To see those amount of people standing there, it made her candidacy because it really, without even the speech, which was a great speech that day, it gave her message. And that's the kind of woman that's going to be hitting the trail, that can draw people intergenerational, interracial, and relate to them. The one thing that is good about Kamala Harris is that usually when you meet people that's been in politics or criminal justice long, they don't have the ability to connect. She seems to have the ability to make people feel like she can relate to them. She's listening to them. She's had the experience. She grew up with her sister, with a single mother at a period. She understands all sides of America, and that's who you want sitting next to the President of the United States to try to undo an administration that many of Americans perceive to be not understanding their plight, not understanding that they went through. No one feels that Donald Trump or Mike Pence has lived the average life. Kamala Harris has lived that life. So is Joe Biden. And I think their being able to relate is going to be the hidden weapon in this kind of race we're going to see in November. And the more you attack them from the Trump side, the more they're going to show that public that that's the kinds of people that keep that can get licking and keep ticking, because that's what all of us have had to do in life. And we've certainly had to do it through this pandemic.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.